Chapter 5, Race-Conscious Inquiry Cycles. One of the most important contributions of my book, Stuck Improving. It brings together anti-racist and continuous improvement leadership approaches. These two leadership approaches are most often treated as totally separate, but I think there are useful practices in each leadership approach. In Chapter 5 of my book, Stuck Improving, I introduce a leadership practice that I call Race-Conscious Inquiry Cycles. In this video, I explain what a race-conscious inquiry cycle is and why it's important for all educators who are committed to making schools more racially equitable and affirming for students of color. My name is Decoteau. I'm a parent, educator, musician, and author of several books. When I refer to equitable change in schools, I look for two things that are different sides of the same coin. First, people make visible and disrupt the conventional practices and patterns that harm people of color. Second, people adopt new practices and policies that expand and improve people of color's learning opportunities, experiences, and outcomes. Race-conscious inquiry leadership is a collaborative practice that aims to make racial patterns and racism visible within school organizations. It involves many steps that educators are familiar with when it comes to plan, do, study, or continuous improvement processes. Finding problems of practice, conducting root cause analysis, coming up with and implementing solutions to address the problems. But it differs in its focus on uprooting racism. In other words, race-conscious inquiry assumes that any problem in the school is there because of racism, even when it may not appear to be so on the surface. One example from my research at Central Waters has to do with students' differential involvement in extracurricular activities. In short, Black students were the least represented in clubs, sports, and student government groups. The school noticed this racial pattern. Their immediate way to fix this problem was to add early and late buses, encourage participation, and reduce barriers such as club fees. But as they moved through the inquiry process, paying attention to how equity reforms worked, they didn't get the increased levels of engagement they expected. As it turns out, adding buses and encouraging participation did nothing to address many of the out-of-school factors that hindered Black students' participation. For some, fees weren't the issue. For others, they had home responsibilities that meant even if the school provided free transportation, they still couldn't participate. In the end, the school understood that the schedule itself was marginalizing students of color. So maintaining the schedule in its current form was racist. Now, to be clear, no one created a schedule to marginalize students of color. But regardless, that's exactly what it did. So, their strategy for addressing the disparities was to radically change the schedule to allow for more inclusion. They did this by disrupting the conventional 6 classes per day schedule and adopting a block schedule that allowed extracurricular activities to be scheduled during the school day. How does this relate to equity improvement in schools? As a reminder, I refer to equitable changes as ones that disrupt conventional practices and patterns that harm people of color and that expand and improve people of color's learning opportunities, experiences, and outcomes. 6 classes schedule, conventional. Block schedule, more expansive and inclusive. Throughout my book, I offer numerous examples of how race-conscious leadership helps educators see racism where it might otherwise be invisible. Seeing racism, making it visible, gives school communities the opportunity to actually do something about what they see. There you have it. Race-conscious inquiry cycles. What it is, why it matters, and how you can use this leadership approach to advance racial equity. If you haven't already done so, I encourage you to purchase and read my book, Stuck Improving. In it, I dedicate a full chapter to explain race-conscious inquiry cycles and how the practice works to create more racially equitable organizations. If you found this information useful, please pass it along to others who may appreciate it. You can also find a downloadable PDF of this information on my website, stuckimproving.com. Until next time, stay in the struggle and remember, progress is possible and so is a more equitable world.